found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning out. Lightning in a bottle, I think I just found my perfect sound. Can you see the fire in my eyes? Bitch, it's burning out.
Yo, how you living, how you feeling, how you doing? This is First Choice Fantasy. We are back today with our Week 5 start sits at the tight end position. My name is Ed. Say what's up, Brandon.
What's up?
You're probably missing Alex because he's out with a cold. He was listed questionable earlier in the day, but we declared him out today in the recording. So I'm going to go over the scoreboard of the start sits so far to the day, to the week, whatever it is. Brandon finished last week with a plus 10. Alex finished with a plus 1. And I finished with a minus 2. So that leaves us with Brandon in first at plus 11. Alex in second to last or second place, whichever way you want to look at it for Alex, with a minus 3. And I have a minus 14. So let's get into these tight ends. One start and one sit per person. I will kick it off, I suppose. I have Evan Ingram against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys defense obviously looked very putrid last week against Cleveland. Austin Hooper had a good game for once. He had 11.9 points, came off a touchdown. Austin Hooper had 7 targets for 34 yards and a touchdown. Evan Ingram last week had 10 targets for 35 yards, which is not good. It's not good. It's very inefficient. But against a defense like the Dallas Cowboys, I think he's going to be able to excel. He's going to be able to be more efficient, hopefully, this week. Yeah, so that is why I have Evan Ingram against the Dallas Cowboys. I don't really have much of a lengthy explanation. I think that, obviously, according to the point totals and whatnot, the Cowboys are favored by 9.5 points, so the Giants are going to be playing from behind, throwing the ball a lot. And the Dallas defense, like I said, is very bad. So Evan Ingram should have a chance to get a touchdown because the volume is going to be increased. His volume is already there, obviously having 10 targets last week, but say it increased a little bit or his luck, I guess, increases a little bit as well, and he has an increased chance of getting a touchdown. Any comments on Mr. Ingram?
I did not know he had 10 targets last week.
Yeah, exactly. He did very little with it. He had 6 catches for 35 yards, which is bad.
A touchdown has to be going his way at this point. I mean,
the thing is, you have to hope, but Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown since week 1, which is very sad. But we will see if that happens.
Rough. Well, I mean, it's Alex's start of the week, Daniel Jones. So, I mean, if he's right, I think Ingram could be benefiting pretty heavily.
Hopefully. All right. Moving forward, I guess you can take the reins here and say your tight end start.
Sir, my start is a pairing with my quarterback start.
Doubling up.
Yeah, I'm doubling up here, and I think it's going to be a good week for the Chargers pass game against New Orleans because New Orleans' offense is pretty stout, and I think Hunter Henry – He's had a good connection with Herbert. And what was it? It was week 2, Herbert came in, and Henry had 8 targets. Week following, he had 7 targets. So he was being targeted a good bit by Herbert. And week 4, he went against the Buccaneers defense. And if I'm thinking right, I'm pretty sure the Buccaneers have a pretty good defense against the tight end. They have some pretty solid linebackers, if I'm recalling correctly. But he only had 3 targets, wasn't utilized too much in that game. However, New Orleans, I know I made this claim last week, I'm pretty sure, with starting TJ Hawkinson. Although Hawkinson didn't do much against the Saints, he did put up a touchdown to kind of save his week. However, Hawkinson doesn't seem to be a go-to target to Stafford as what Henry seems to be for Herbert. I think this game – last week Herbert only threw 25 attempts. and Henry had 3 targets, so it wasn't horrible. So this week against New Orleans, I think it's going to be a good matchup. It's a talented tight end, and I think it's going to be his best start this year for him.
One can only hope. If the volume's there for Herbert, which I think it will be, I think they'll be passing a lot. The targets obviously get stripped of Austin Eckler because he's not playing. Josh McKelly might have some targets here and there, and Justin Jackson may as well, but I think those targets are going to go elsewhere, and I think Hunter Henry is one of the 2 people I think it's going to go to between him and Keenan Allen. And Keenan Allen is already fucking going off with his amount of targets, so if Hunter Henry gets a little bump in targets, a little bump in target share, I think it's a valid start for week 5. Now moving forward. Alex has Eric Ebron against the Philadelphia Eagles as his start of the week. His notes: we get torched regularly by tight ends, and he seemed to be getting more involved in week 3. So obviously, as you guys all know, the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't play week 4 because that game got put off. But Eric Ebron got 7 targets, which is more than he had in the previous week, which was 5 in week 2 and then 2 in week 1. 7 catches for 7 targets, 5 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown in week 3 against Houston. I can see Eric Ebron doing something with that, with his increased role, especially against the Eagles secondary or Eagles linebackers that was just very bad. And Deontay Johnson wasn't involved in week 3, so that could be a reason why Eric Ebron did have a coming out party, I guess you could say, because he had like 11 points or something like that. But I can see any tight end going off against the Eagles, so I guess this is a valid start.
Yeah, I mean, I was willing to play Drew Sample against the Eagles, so yeah. I think Ebron and his red zone threat. I mean, you saw what
Detroit, or was it Indy? It was Indy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Touchdowns left and right.
Yeah, the Eagles linebackers. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're improving. The defense hasn't looked. I mean, last week the defense, against backup quarterbacks, they didn't look terrible.
I mean, George did go crazy though.
Yeah, that's right.
George Kittle had 15 catches on 15 targets.
Yeah, 15 targets. Yeah, completely.
The linebackers, I don't think they're improving too much, but
no.
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think Ebron's gonna kill it. So.
Alrighty. So, moving forward to our 6th of tight end position for week 5. I'll kick it off with Dalton Schultz, who is my sit this week. Per, obviously, FanDuel Sportsbook, they have the spread and over-under. The spread's at 9.5 for the Dallas Cowboys, if they were Dallas Cowboys. And I think the total was at 54.5 or something like that. And that kind of leads to me thinking that Dallas is not going to be passing all that much compared to the previous 2 weeks where Dak Prescott is averaging 57.5 pass attempts in the past 2 weeks, which is insane, which obviously as a result of that, Dalton Schultz is going to get targets. So I'm just going to add up Dalton Schultz target share real quick and see what he's sitting at. He's sitting at 12% target share. So any other tight end, Hunter Henry, he had a 12% target share this past week with 3 targets. So if you're being realistic, if Dak Prescott his pass attempts just jump down just a little bit, I think Dalton Schultz's targets are not going to really be there for him to really be doing much. And also he's questionable with a thigh injury, but he's expected to play. So playing with an injury is obviously not the most ideal thing to do, especially I think it's going to impact his performance, and I think Dak Prescott's volume is not really going to be there for him to get the opportunities that he's been seeing the past 3 weeks, where he's got 10 targets week 2, 6 targets week 3, and 8 targets week 4. I think you should probably look to trade him if anybody was really willing to bite on that. But yeah, obviously the Cowboys are a very pass-heavy offense. They're going to keep their pass-heavy approach up, but I don't see Dak Prescott averaging 57.5 pass attempts for the rest of the year. That's just insane. So that's my analysis on Dalton Schultz being a sit this week at the tight end position.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've got Hayden Hurst as a sit, which, I mean, I hope it bites me in the ass because I have Hurst and I'm kind of forced into playing him. But it seems to me that the Falcons has just forgotten how to throw the ball to the tight end. I mean, with Austin Hooper there, he was like the tight end 1 for a good stint of the year last season. And Hurst, I kind of had that expectation, especially after Julio went down. And I mean, he's not performing bad. He's just underperforming to how many people expected him to perform. And against the Carolina Panthers, I think there's going to be other players that are going to have more of a success than he will. So that's where I stand for this sit for tight end position.
I agree. Under the condition that Julio Jones plays, which is possible. But even then, I mean, I don't know if Hayden Hurst is really going to get the volume and whatnot. I don't know. I guess I agree with you completely because Hayden Hurst really hasn't done much besides getting garbage time touchdowns or just broken play touchdowns and a cool amount of yards for 4 catches or something like that. I mean, Hayden Hurst hasn't really done what people have thought he was going to do this year.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there, and that's Carolina. For the final sit of the week, we have Alex with his sit of the week at tight end being the faithful Zach Ertz against the Steelers. Comments are defenses are pretty much only worried about him and Sanders right now, so it's a struggle for him to find any space. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. I mean, I was thinking about using Zach Ertz to start this week solely due to the fact that the targets have to go somewhere. And Fulgham, whatever the fuck this man's name is, Travis, that just got a touchdown this past week against 49ers on the Eagles. I don't think that they're really valid, I guess, to get targets. And I think Zach Ertz is probably going to get pile on the targets with all these injuries of wide receiver. I think the run game is obviously going to get stopped by itself from Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I guess I understand Alex's reason for mentioning Zach Ertz, but I don't know. I could see it go either way. It's the Eagles. Who really knows?
Yeah. I honestly saw Zach Ertz as a sit, and I was kind of jealous that I couldn't have gotten there first, personally. It's just the lack of weapons and that stout defense. You would think they would be smart enough to be like, we got 2 players to stop, and then the rest kind of just stop themselves. But I see where Alex went with that pick. Smart pick.
Alrighty. That marks the end of the Week 5 tight end start sits of the 2020 NFL season for First Choice Fantasy. Like, share with your friends, subscribe with your friends, tell your friends subscribe. Leave your comments downstairs in the comment section if you have any questions regarding start sits, any scenarios or any situational things and whatnot. Love us. We love you. First Choice Fantasy. Deuce.
Later. Good luck this week.